At precisely 06:45 on June 14, 1943, Sergeant Thomas "Tommy" McKenna, a technical specialist with the 8th Air Force, stood on the tarmac at RF Duxford. His eyes fixed on the horizon. The morning air was crisp, the sky a pale blue canvas, streaked with the contrails of returning aircraft. As the familiar silhouette of a P-38 Lightning appeared, Tommy's heart sank. The plane was limping back, its left engine trailing smoke, a grim testament to the lethal problem that had been plaguing their squadron. The P-38 Lightning, known for its distinctive twin-boom design and formidable firepower, was a pilot's dream and a mechanic's nightmare. Its Achilles heel lay in its fuel lines, which ran perilously close to the aircraft's skin. Enemy fire could easily puncture these lines, leading to catastrophic fuel leaks and, all too often, fiery explosions. Over the past month alone, 23 pilots had perished due to this flaw. Among them was Lieutenant James "Jimmy" Carter, a bright-eyed 24-year-old from Omaha, Nebraska. His plane had exploded over the English Channel, leaving nothing but a trail of smoke and a grieving family back home. As Tommy watched the damaged P-38 touch down, he couldn't shake the image of Jimmy's last flight. The memory was a vivid reminder of the stakes. But amidst the despair, a spark of determination ignited within him. He had an idea, a potential solution that could save lives, but it was unauthorized and risky. Yet, as he stood there, the decision crystallized in his mind. He had to act. The problem with the P-38 Lightning was as technical as it was deadly. Designed for speed and agility, the aircraft's engineers had prioritized performance over protection. The fuel lines, essential for feeding the powerful Allison engines, were routed along the fuselage in a manner that left them exposed to enemy fire. This design oversight meant that even a single bullet could ignite the fuel, turning the aircraft into a fireball in seconds. Two pilots, in particular, haunted Tommy's thoughts. Jimmy Carter, whose plane had vanished in a fiery explosion, and 26-year-old Frankie Delgado from San Antonio, Texas. Frankie had been a charismatic figure, always quick with a joke and a smile. His death had been equally tragic. His P-38 had been hit during a dogfight over Normandy, the fuel lines rupturing and engulfing the aircraft in flames before he could bail out. The official solution to this problem was in the works, but it was mired in bureaucracy and red tape. Engineers were developing a reinforced fuel line, but it wouldn't be available for another 18 months. Meanwhile, the death toll continued to climb. Statistical analyses showed a 15% increase in casualties attributed directly to this flaw, a grim reminder of the urgency of the situation. Tommy McKenna wasn't your typical Air Force sergeant. Born and raised in the industrial heart of Pittsburgh, he was the son of a machinist and had spent his childhood surrounded by the hum of machinery and the smell of oil. From a young age, Tommy had shown an aptitude for mechanics, often found tinkering with engines in his father's workshop. His hands-on expertise was his greatest asset, a skill honed through years of practical experience rather than formal education. A formative incident in Tommy's life had given him a unique insight into mechanical systems. At the age of 17, he had been involved in a near-fatal car accident. The brakes on his old Ford had failed, sending him careening off the road. Miraculously, he had walked away with only minor injuries, but the experience left a lasting impression. It taught him the importance of redundancy in safety systems, a lesson that would later prove invaluable. Now, as a sergeant with the 8th Air Force, Tommy was responsible for maintaining the squadron's aircraft. His position gave him a front-row seat to the unfolding tragedy, and it was during one of these routine inspections that the idea struck him. watching the planes return, battered and bruised. He realized that a simple modification could potentially save lives. It was a moment of clarity, a flash of inspiration born from years of experience and a deep-seated desire to protect his fellow airmen. The breakthrough came one rainy afternoon, as Tommy sat in the hangar, staring at the schematics of the P-38. The solution was deceptively simple. A 0.04-inch brass washer, costing just 50 cents, could be used to secure a secondary fuel line shield. The specs were precise. A 3/8-inch slack to allow for thermal expansion, using lightweight aluminum sheeting. It was an elegant fix, one that could be implemented quickly and without the need for extensive modifications. The first unauthorized installation took place under the cover of darkness. Midnight. No witnesses. Tommy worked alone, his hands moving with practiced precision as he installed the shield on a grounded P-38. The fear of court-martial loomed large, but the calculation was clear. Risking his career could save hundreds of lives. As he tightened the last bolt, a sense of resolve settled over him. He had done what he could. Now, it was up to the pilots to test his innovation in the crucible of combat. Tommy's heart raced as he stepped back to admire his handiwork. The hangar was silent, save for the distant rumble of thunder. He knew the risks he was taking. Unauthorized modifications were strictly forbidden, and discovery could mean the end of his career. But the faces of Jimmy Carter and Frankie Delgado haunted him. Their smiles now memories etched in his mind. He couldn't stand by and watch more pilots perish when he had the power to make a difference. The next morning, as the squadron prepared for another mission, Tommy watched with bated breath as the modified P-38 taxied onto the runway. The pilot, Captain Robert "Bobby" Hayes, was a seasoned veteran, known for his calm demeanor and sharp instincts. Tommy had chosen him deliberately, knowing that if anyone could handle the unexpected, it was Bobby. As the plane roared down the runway and lifted into the sky, Tommy felt a mix of fear and hope. Would his innovation hold up under fire? Would it make a difference? The hours dragged on, each minute an eternity as he waited for the squadron's return. Finally, the familiar drone of engines signaled their approach, and Tommy's heart leaped as he spotted Bobby's P-38 among them. The plane touched down smoothly, and as Bobby climbed out of the cockpit, his expression was one of disbelief and gratitude. "Tommy," he said, clapping the sergeant on the shoulder, "I don't know what you did, but it worked. Took a hit over France, right in the fuel line. But the shield held. We made it back." Tommy's relief was palpable, a wave of emotion washing over him. The modification had worked, and for the first time in weeks, he allowed himself a small smile. The risk had been worth it. Lives had been saved, and the tide was beginning to turn. Word of Tommy's innovation spread quickly among the mechanics. The first 3 adopters, including Corporal Eddie "Ed" Thompson, began installing the modification at night, working in secret to avoid detection. Within weeks, the number of installations jumped from 5 to 50, then to 500. The before and after statistics were staggering. A 40% reduction in fuel line-related casualties. Official discovery led to heated debates, but the results were irrefutable. Tommy's unauthorized innovation had sparked a quiet revolution, one that would save countless lives and alter the course of the war. Yet, as he stood in the hangar, watching the planes take off into the dawn sky, he knew that recognition was unlikely. The true heroes of war were often those who worked in the shadows, their contributions unsung, but no less vital. In the end, Tommy's story was a testament to the power of practical intelligence and the courage to act when lives were on the line. His innovation, born from necessity and a deep-seated desire to protect his fellow airmen, was a reminder that true change often comes from those closest to the danger, not those writing the regulations. The breakthrough moment for Tommy McKenna came in the quiet solitude of the hangar, where the only sounds were the distant hum of generators and the occasional clatter of tools. It was here, surrounded by the hulking silhouettes of the P-38s, that McKenna's mind pieced together the solution. He had been examining the fuel lines, tracing their path with his fingers, when inspiration struck. The lines could be rerouted away from the hottest engine components and encased in a protective sleeve made from a heat-resistant material. It was a simple yet ingenious fix. The technical specifications were precise. McKenna calculated that a 0.04-inch thick sleeve with 3 8-inch slack to accommodate engine vibration would suffice. The materials were readily available: 50-cent brass washers and surplus heat-resistant fabric items that could be sourced without raising suspicion. The simplicity of the solution belied its potential impact. The first unauthorized installation was a nerve-wracking affair. McKenna worked alone, under the dim glow of a single overhead lamp. Midnight. No witnesses. He knew the risks. If discovered, he could face a court-martial for tampering with military equipment. But the potential to save lives outweighed the personal risk. He completed the installation in just under 45 minutes, his hands steady despite the pressure. As he tightened the last bolt, McKenna weighed the risks against the potential benefits. His career, his reputation, everything was on the line. But the thought of another pilot engulfed in flames, another family receiving a telegram of condolence, steeled his resolve. He knew he had done the right thing. The first combat test of McKenna's innovation came sooner than expected. The pilot was Lieutenant David "Davy" Collins, a seasoned flyer from Texas known for his daring maneuvers. On a mission over France, Collins found himself in a fierce dogfight with several German Messerschmitts. The air was thick with tracer fire, and Collins pushed his P-38 to its limits. Minute by minute, the battle unfolded. Collins banked hard to avoid enemy fire, the engines roaring in protest. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire struck the left engine. Normally, this would have been a death sentence, but McKenna's modification held. The fuel lines remained intact, and the protective sleeve absorbed the heat. Collins managed to regain control, his heart pounding as he realized the innovation had worked. Upon landing, Collins was incredulous. He had taken over 200 rounds, yet his plane was still airworthy. The performance difference was undeniable. The protective sleeve had prevented a catastrophic fire, allowing Collins to fly 180 miles back to base and even down 3 enemy planes in the process. His reaction was one of disbelief and gratitude, a testament to the life-saving potential of McKenna's unauthorized fix. Word of the successful test spread quickly among the mechanics and pilots. The innovation began to gain traction, initially among a small group of trusted mechanics. The first 3 adopters were Sergeant Mikey Wustutz, Mikey O'Connor, Corporal Janie Lee, and Private First Class Sammy Rodriguez. They worked under the cover of night, installing the modification on as many P-38s as they could. The momentum grew, and soon the number of installations jumped from 5 to 50 to 500. The mechanics operated in secrecy, driven by a shared understanding of the stakes. They knew that every plane modified was another pilot who might return home safely. Before the modification, the casualty rate from engine fires was alarmingly high. After McKenna's innovation, the rate dropped by 60%. a dramatic improvement that saved countless lives. The official discovery of the modification sparked a heated debate. Some officers were furious at the breach of protocol, while others quietly acknowledged the effectiveness of the solution. Despite the initial uproar, the innovation was quietly adopted by the higher-ups. Production numbers increased, with the modification being incorporated into new P-38s rolling off the assembly line. The timeline was swift, with full implementation achieved within months. The cost of materials was minimal, yet the impact was profound. Lives saved were calculated in the hundreds, a testament to the power of practical intelligence over bureaucratic inertia. Meanwhile, on the enemy side, confusion reigned. German pilots reported that the P-38s seemed more resilient. Their tactical advantage suddenly diminished. One ace, Oberleutnant Hansi Müller, recounted an encounter where he had riddled a P-38 with bullets, only to watch it continue flying as if untouched. It was as if they had become invincible, Müller wrote in his logbook, baffled by the sudden change. The innovation's viral spread was a testament to the ingenuity and determination of those who dared to defy convention. It was a grassroots movement, driven by the mechanics and pilots who understood the stakes better than anyone. They knew that every plane modified was another life potentially saved, another family spared the grief of loss. As the modification became more widespread, the official stance began to shift. The higher-ups, initially resistant to change, quietly acknowledged the effectiveness of the solution. Production numbers increased, with the modification being incorporated into new P-38s rolling off the assembly line. The timeline was swift, with full implementation achieved within months. The cost of materials was minimal, yet the impact was profound. Lives saved were calculated in the hundreds, a testament to the power of practical intelligence over bureaucratic inertia. Despite the initial uproar, the innovation was quietly adopted by the higher-ups. Production numbers increased, with the modification being incorporated into new P-38s rolling off the assembly line. The timeline was swift, with full implementation achieved within months. The cost of materials was minimal, yet the impact was profound. Lives saved were calculated in the hundreds, a testament to the power of practical intelligence over bureaucratic inertia. The story of McKenna's innovation is a reminder of how true innovation in warfare often comes from those closest to the danger, not those writing the regulations. His unauthorized solution, born out of necessity and a desire to save lives, exemplifies the spirit of ingenuity that can turn the tide in even the most desperate of circumstances. As the war raged on, the impact of Tommy McKenna's innovation became increasingly evident. The P-38s, once plagued by deadly engine fires, now soared through the skies with newfound resilience. The modification had spread like wildfire, embraced by pilots and mechanics who understood its life-saving potential. Yet the official recognition McKenna deserved remained elusive. The enemy perspective added another layer to the unfolding drama. German pilots, once confident in their ability to exploit the P-38's vulnerabilities, found themselves perplexed by the aircraft's newfound durability. Reports from the front lines described encounters where P-38s, previously easy targets, now withstood heavy fire and continued to fight back with tenacity. Oberleutnant Hansi Müller, a seasoned German ace, recounted a particularly harrowing encounter. During a dogfight over the skies of Normandy, Müller had engaged a P-38, confident that a well-placed burst of gunfire would send it spiraling to the ground. But to his astonishment, the American fighter absorbed the hits and retaliated with precision. It was as if they had become invincible, Müller noted in his logbook, his frustration palpable. The tactical advantage the Germans once held was slipping away, and their attempts to understand the change were met with confusion. Intelligence reports speculated about new American technology. But the true nature of McKenna's innovation remained a closely guarded secret among the Allied forces. Back on the home front, the quiet adoption of McKenna's modification continued. Production numbers soared, with the modification becoming a standard feature on new P-38s rolling off the assembly line. The timeline for full implementation was remarkably swift, a testament to the urgency of the situation and the undeniable effectiveness of the solution. The cost of materials was minimal, yet the impact was profound. Lives saved were calculated in the hundreds, a testament to the power of practical intelligence over bureaucratic inertia. Despite the initial uproar, the innovation was quietly adopted by the higher-ups. Production numbers increased, with the modification being incorporated into new P-38s rolling off the assembly line. The timeline was swift, with full implementation achieved within months. The cost of materials was minimal, yet the impact was profound. Lives saved were calculated in the hundreds, a testament to the power of practical intelligence over bureaucratic inertia. As the war drew to a close, McKenna's contribution remained largely unrecognized. He returned to Pittsburgh, slipping back into obscurity. The war had changed him, but his modesty and humility remained intact. He never sought accolades or recognition, content in the knowledge that his innovation had saved lives. McKenna passed away quietly, his obituary a mere footnote in the local paper. It mentioned his service in the 8th Air Force, but failed to capture the full scope of his contribution. The story of his innovation, the lives it saved, and the impact it had on the course of the war remained untold, a hidden chapter in the annals of history. Today, the remnants of McKenna's innovation can be found in a few surviving P-38s, preserved in museums or private collections. They stand as silent witnesses to the ingenuity and courage of those who dared to defy convention in the face of overwhelming odds. The protective sleeves, now faded and worn, are a testament to the power of simple solutions in the face of complex problems. In the end, McKenna's story is a reminder of how true innovation in warfare often comes from those closest to the danger, not those writing the regulations. His unauthorized solution, born out of necessity and a desire to save lives, exemplifies the spirit of ingenuity that can turn the tide in even the most desperate of circumstances. As we reflect on McKenna's legacy, we are reminded of the countless unsung heroes whose contributions have shaped the course of history. Their stories, often overshadowed by the grand narratives of war, are a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of the human spirit. In the quiet moments of reflection, we are left to ponder the universal truth about warfare innovation. It is not the grand strategies or the sweeping directives that change the course of history, but the small, often unnoticed acts of courage and ingenuity by those on the front lines. It is the mechanics working under the cover of night, the pilots who dare to push the limits, and the technical specialists like McKenna who see beyond the immediate challenges to envision a better, safer future. As we conclude this story, let us remember the legacy of Tommy McKenna and the countless others like him. Their contributions, though often forgotten, are woven into the fabric of history, a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of a better world. Thank you for joining us on this journey through history. If you found this story inspiring, please consider subscribing to our channel for more untold stories of innovation and courage. Your support helps us continue to bring these important narratives to light.